A sunny morning at the playground where children happily play under their parents' watchful eyes. But Peppa on the swing looked thoughtful. Her smile seemed strained. Something had changed. She sat alone in the sandbox, her eyes empty. Her friend tried to talk to her, but she didn't react. Mummy Pig approached her worriedly, but Peppa pulled away. Her gaze was cold. At home during dinner, she didn't touch her food, silently staring into space. At night, Peppa stood by her room window, moonlight making her face pale and alien. In the morning, she descended the stairs with mechanical movements, walking past Mummy Pig. At school, Peppa sat at her desk, her gaze fixed on the window where something dark flashed by. Her hand slowly drew strange, repetitive symbols on a piece of paper. Peppa showed the drawing to George, who recoiled in fear while she looked on emotionlessly. Her parents discussed her behavior. They were confused and scared. In her room, Peppa stood before a mirror. Her reflection looked distorted, eyes glowing red. She extended her hand towards the mirror, and a dark, clawed paw reached out from it. Peppa entered the mirror, and only emptiness remained behind her. Her parents rushed into the room, but she was gone. At the playground, the children played, but their faces were empty, their movements mechanical, and their laughter sounded unnatural. Susie Sheep looked directly, her eyes glowing red, and her smile stretched into a creepy grimace. The television screen showed static, which is distorted and flickers with strange patterns. A distorted, shadowy figure of Peppa with glowing red eyes emerged from the static on the screen. The distorted, shadowy figure of Peppa fully emerged from the television and stood in the dark room. The television screen once again showed static, distorted and flickering with strange patterns. Peppa wakes up in her bed. Good morning. What a beautiful day. Family has breakfast at the table. Mummy, what's for breakfast? Mummy stays silent, looks tired. Daddy reads newspaper, avoiding eye contact. Daddy, will you play with me? Daddy doesn't answer. Peppa tries to hug Mummy. Mummy, what's wrong? Mummy turns away. Close up on Mummy's belly. Mummy, why has your tummy gotten so big? George sits alone with toys. Dinosaur. Sad dinosaur. Nobody plays. Parents whisper in the kitchen. What should we do? The children mustn't know the truth. Peppa lies in bed at night. What are those sounds? Why is everyone acting strange? Daddy smokes in the garden at night. I can't cope. Everything's falling apart. Ambulance arrives at the house. Quickly, we need to get to the hospital. Children sit at Granny's house. Where are Mummy and Daddy? When will they come back? Children return home. What's this cot for? Who is it for? Mummy holds the newborn. Meet your little brother. Mummy cries. Peppa reaches out to parents. Mummy, play with me. Parents ignore her. George breaks toys in rage. Bad, everything's bad, nobody wants me. Peppa stands in the hallway. What's happening to our family? Why has everything changed? Mummy cries, holding the baby. He's so weak. I'm scared for him. Parents have serious conversation. We'll have to make a difficult decision. He might not survive. Peppa reaches for the baby. I'll help. I'll be a good sister. Parents shout at Peppa. Don't touch him. You've ruined everything. George's empty room. George, where are you? Window is open. Police officer questions the family. When did you last see the boy? George found in the forest. Voices. They spoke to me. They know the truth. Mummy looks at Peppa with empty eyes. You're no longer my daughter. You destroyed everything. Family has breakfast at table. Good morning, Peppa. Peppa walks to school. La la la. Wonder what will happen today. Dark figure stands by school. Hello, Peppa. I'm Mr. Shadow. Peppa looks at stranger. Special? What does that mean? Mr. Shadow leans toward Peppa. It will be our little secret. Peppa sits thoughtful at table. Peppa, you seem strange today. Peppa turns away from Mummy. Everything's fine, just tired. Susie runs up to Peppa. Let's play our favorite games. Peppa looks coldly at friend. Find other friends, Susie. Susie cries. Peppa walks away. We're best friends. George wants to play with sister. Leave me alone, George. George cries in corner. Peppa doesn't want to play anymore. Parents talk in kitchen. What's happening to our Peppa? Mr. Shadow meets with Peppa. Only I know how special you are. Peppa sits alone in class. I have a real friend. Mummy enters Peppa's room. Talk to me. What's bothering you? Peppa turns sharply to Mummy. Nobody understands. Leave me alone. Mr. Shadow surrounds Peppa with shadows. They're pretending. Look how it really is. Peppa looks at false images. They don't really love me. Peppa comes home with dark aura. I know the truth about you. George offers toy to sister. I love you. Take my dinosaur. Peppa looks at toy. George. Family has breakfast. Mummy says, "Good morning, children. Perfect day for games." Peppa rejoices. "Hooray!" calls Susie. George plays with dinosaur. Dinosaur. Grrr. Daddy takes out box. George. Surprise. New tablet with games. George amazed. Wow. Thank you, Daddy. George turns on tablet. Voice says, "Welcome to Adventure World." George enchanted by screen. Wow. Beautiful. Peppa and Susie in garden call. George. Come play hide and seek. George distractedly answers, "Not now. Busy." Evening. George at screen repeats. Next level at dinner, Mummy asks. George, put away tablet, dinnertime. George doesn't look away. Little more, Peppa concerned. George acting strange. Night voice from tablet. You can't stop. Don't want to stop. George whispers. Don't want to stop. Morning, Peppa complains to Mummy. Something wrong with George, didn't sleep all night. Mummy calms, perhaps excited about new toy. Peppa suggests to George, play dinosaurs. George answers, dinosaurs stupid, game more important. Tablet commands. George mechanically repeats, left hand, right hand. In garden, Susie greets. George monotonously answers, level completed. Points earned. Next task. Peppa scared George. Talking like robot. Parents discuss. Doesn't eat, sleep, play with toys. Daddy suggests. Maybe take tablet away. Mummy tries to take tablet. George aggressively. No, must play, must. Night. George rocks. Voice whispers. Good boy, play, forever. George answers. Forever, forever. Peppa hears sounds. What sounds? George? Peppa enters. George. What doing? George doesn't turn. Playing. Always playing. Can't stop. Family surrounds George. George, look at us. George turns with empty eyes. Who are you? Only no game. Daddy turns off tablet. George screams. No! Give back! Must play! George in hysteria. Game. Where game? Remember nothing without game. Family in shock. What have we done? Lost George. George sits in corner. Next level. Where next level? Tablet on table flickers. Looking for new player. Looking for new player. Family has breakfast at table. Good morning, Peppa. Peppa walks to school. La la la. Wonder what will happen today. Dark figure stands by school. Hello, Peppa. I'm Mr. Shadow. Peppa looks at stranger. Special? What does that mean? Mr. Shadow leans toward Peppa. It will be our little secret. Peppa sits thoughtful at table. Peppa, you seem strange today. Peppa turns away from Mummy. Everything's fine, just tired. Susie runs up to Peppa. Let's play our favorite games. Peppa looks coldly at friend. Find other friends, Susie. Susie cries. Peppa walks away. We're best friends. George wants to play with sister. Leave me alone, George. George cries in corner. Peppa doesn't want to play anymore. Parents talk in kitchen. What's happening to our Peppa? Mr. Shadow meets with Peppa. Only I know how special you are. Peppa sits alone in class. I have a real friend. Mummy enters Peppa's room. Talk to me. What's bothering you? Peppa turns sharply to Mummy. Nobody understands. Leave me alone. Mr. Shadow surrounds Peppa with shadows. They're pretending. Look how it really is. Peppa looks at false images. They don't really love me. Peppa comes home with dark aura. I know the truth about you. George offers toy to sister. I love you. Take my dinosaur. Peppa looks at toy. George. Children jump in puddles. George, look what a splash. Susie shows her phone to friend. I have 1,000 followers. The girl enviously looks at screen. So many likes. Elder daughter asks parents for tablet. I need a tablet for school. Mummy gives an old tablet. Only for studying. Agreed. She creates an account. Perfect Peppa. Perfect name. The girl is upset by few likes. Only 3 likes? She studies popular blogs. Need to write down secrets. George wants to play. Sister is busy with tablet. Elder one forces family to pose. This is for my blog. She edits photos at night. Now I look perfect. The girl enjoys morning likes. 20 likes, finally. She refuses birthday cake. Cake ruins my image. George is sad alone. Sister doesn't play anymore. Friends argue about likes. Why didn't you like? Parents worry about changes. What's wrong with our daughter? The girl doesn't recognize herself in mirror. Where's real me? She deletes happy photos. They're too ordinary. Likes drop on screen. Followers are leaving. The girl sits by broken tablet. Dreams are shattered. Family tries to hug daughter. She turns away silently. The girl watches playing children. I can't be happy. Close up of empty eyes. Childhood spark is gone. She's alone in darkness. Tablet goes out forever.